We'll just go ahead and say, Sean, you're going to go first for Seahawks Cardinals. Are you good with that?
Is that the first one?
Yeah. So you're first. You're 1-1.
You're on the
Alright.
hot seat.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of sick again, so my voice is a little shot.
Can you turn the light on in your room by any chance?
I don't know if this is an insult, Sean, but you sound exactly like you normally do. So.
Yeah, you don't sound any different.
Remember after I say show to scream. Is it on me? Yep. Hello and welcome to the Boys Upstairs Show. This is the Week 9 NFL show. Honestly, unbelievable that we're already at week 9. Doesn't feel like it. Halfway through the year. Let's just take a moment to appreciate football and all that is given us halfway through the year. But game 1 on the slate here. 2 weeks in a row, we were talking about the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks traveling to Arizona. Cardinals are -2. D-Hop is back, and he's all the way back already. Total's 50.5. We're going to go ahead and give it to Sean here, our leadoff hitter.
So I'm gonna ride with the Seahawks here. I agree D-Hop's back, but James Conner's not back. So I mean, I don't know how much to take that. They beat him by 10 last time they played. I'm gonna go with the Seahawks again. Kenneth Walker is on a heater, so just ride with them -2.
I like everything Sean just said. I like it all. I am also picking the Seahawks +2. I feel like we picked a few Cardinals games this year, and I think I've taken them a few times, kind of like just waiting for them to figure things out, but they just haven't. And they look completely broken right now. And the Seahawks are enjoying the ride. How ironic is it that the team that Russell Wilson left that was supposed to be rebuilding, they're the ones riding, not the Denver Broncos. I mean, 2-point spreads. We're basically at a pick 'em here. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks. I think they continue the ride.
Are the Seahawks a good team or are they just a good story? I really have no idea. But I think
they're a decent team.
I think Arizona stinks, first of all, and Seattle's got the coaching advantage. I hate that we're all just agreeing with each other because we're probably going to be wrong, but I also like Seattle. They run the ball extremely well. Geno Smith, I mean, let's just be honest. The MVP is going to be Josh Allen or Mahomes or Lamar, and you guys like Jalen Hurts, but Geno Smith is like leading the league in completion percentage, doesn't turn the ball over that much. He would be like in that next little tier, I feel like. He's blowing me away. He was expected to be benched for Drew Lock prior to the year, and he's playing incredible. I think as I said, they definitely have the coaching edge. I'm picking Seattle. I think San Francisco will ultimately win that division. The Seahawks just beat the Giants, who somehow were winning games, and Seattle beat them. And I think Seattle's in a bit of a zone right now, so I'm going to pick them +2.
As Sam was saying, we picked a couple Cardinals games this year, and every time I feel like the one thing everyone was saying is, oh, they don't have the weapons. They don't have the weapons. Their offense isn't that. They don't have the weapons. Well, they trade for Robbie Anderson. DeAndre Hopkins is back and already showed out in his first game, showing he hasn't missed a step. So what's the real argument now? The Seahawks are top 10 in passing yards given up and passing yards per attempt given up, which means the big plays are going to be there. I think Connor's still injured, so they're going to have to pass the ball a lot, but I think it's going to be there. And the Seahawks, again, we've seen it before from teams. They have hot starts. Call it the Miami Dolphins, the whole 2000s. They start hot, they come back to earth. The Steelers that one year, 11-0. I think they lost their last 5 and 6. It happens. And, Geno Smith, he's having a good year, but I feel like, recency bias. is so heavy. Like, yeah, Geno's having a great, whatever, 8-9 games, but if you take it into his whole career, he's still an average, below average quarterback. And it happens. He's having a great season, but I don't think it's going to last. And I think the Cardinals are on the rise with all their pickups. So I'm going to take the Cardinals -2 or 3, whatever they are. And yeah.
Go ahead, Tone. Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry.
No, it's you, Tone. It's you.
All right. Yeah, this, I don't know. I'm just gonna say that Pete Carroll should be a candidate for Coach of the Year. If you really look at this roster, it is a horrible team. It's very young. They got really no experience on defense, and their defense actually hasn't been playing that bad. With that being said, Geno Smith's been balling out. I'm taking Seattle +2. I'm also going to take the under just because Arizona's got to try and win this game. They're starting to fall off the cliff a little bit. I feel like they're going to throw Seattle everything they got on defense. So I like the under in this game.
Like Jake said, are they a good team? Are they just a good story? I think it's a team that everybody wants to root for because Russ is kind of hateable and Geno Smith is like a good comeback story. But I truly think that they're a good football team, and Kenneth Walker is probably rookie of the year. I'm taking Seahawks. I'm not going to touch the total though. But we will go to game. If somebody could tell me to fucking do the slides, I keep forgetting every single week.
It's on you.
Sorry.
It's on me. But here's game one. I put this together. Here's game two. Game two on the slate here. Rams Bucks. Sam texted me 5 different times to take this off the slate. It's on the slate. This is a NFC Championship matchup, rematch. Bucks are -2.5. Totals 42.5.
The way they've been playing is just absolutely embarrassing. It's awful. They're painful to watch. Both teams are. I'm not picking a side here because God knows what's going to happen in this game. I'm just going with the under 42.5, considering both of these teams absolutely suck right now.
I guess Stafford put all of his magic into last year. With that being said, though, I'm going to go the opposite of Sam. I'm just going to take the over 42.5. Something's got to start here. Bucks have gotten a long week. I think they can fix some things. They didn't really lose any key pieces on offense, so I would like to see them get the ball rolling. Same thing with the Rams. I mean, Kupp's probably going to be out. With that being said, it should open up the offense for them, and I'd like to see some points scored.
I've been hot on the show. I didn't want to mention it because I don't want to jinx myself, but I've, 2 undefeated weeks, first place. But I've also taken Bucks money line every week for the last fucking 3 weeks, and they've lost 3 straight games. So like, I continue to do this, and I'm going to do it again. I'm taking the Bucks here +2.5 or -2.5. Sorry. I just feel like at some point something's got to give. Brady's going to have to win at some point, and this is a big game, bigger game. Lost to the Panthers, lost to the Steelers. Like, those are horrible teams, and he needs to win a game at some point. And I think that I saw a picture with him on Thanksgiving or Halloween night with his 2 kids. Seemed like they were in good spirits. Seems like he's not completely distraught because of Giselle. So I'm taking the Bucks here. I don't want to touch the total. I was leaning under, but then I heard Tone talk about the over, and that kind of made me think maybe not. So I'm just taking the Bucks here. But this game is intriguing. I think that, like Sam said, it would be a primetime game usually, but because of the circumstances, it's not. But at the same time, it could be a really interesting game. So Bucks.
I feel like whoever loses is cooked. Really. I think they both have been abysmal. The distractions off the field. For the Rams, it was Aaron Donald thinking about retiring, Sean McVay thinking about retiring. They come back. They have a really tough schedule, Stafford's elbow, and then with Brady, as we just talked about, the off-the-field drama he's going through. I can't believe I'm saying this because they won the Super Bowl last year and we're just halfway through. I think the Rams are cooked. There's something wrong.
They're dead. They're completely dead.
There's something wrong. Something wrong with them.
I don't mean to cut you off here, but the thing that made me realize that they're dead is every single year at the trade deadline, the Rams make some type of move. This year, they just said, "Fuck it, we're not even good enough to make a shot." So they were
they ran out of draft picks to give away.
That's true.
They tried for McCaffrey, and then San Francisco just outbid
That
them.
is true. That is true. They did try for McCaffrey, and they also ran out of picks. But at the same time, they last year it was Odell, or every year, Jalen Ramsey, they've made some type of, all right, we're going to go for a Super Bowl this year. And this year they didn't do anything. So, I mean, Odell is still a possibility, but I don't think he would want to go to a team like this right now.
I don't think Odell's going back there. I would be surprised if he does. And by the way, I think him off 2 extreme injuries or back-to-back ACL tears. I'm not sure how great he'll be. Of course, he'll get some game reps under his belt, and then he'll get better as time goes on. But if Odell were to sign with the Rams in an hour, I don't think that solves their issues. That there's something wrong with them. The offense is broken. Stafford has played awful. I'm picking Tampa, even though they have looked awful themselves. But I think the Bucs problems are solvable. I don't think the Rams problems are. So give me Tampa -2.5.
The Patriots never had a record that bad, but we would normally be a mid team and as the season goes on, Tom Brady gets better. It happens every year. Tom Brady's always horrible in the first month of the season. And then as time goes on, he gets better and better. He's older and this is a different team, but I don't think much is going to change. I think that the Bucs are going to start to figure it out, get better. He had a lot of outside football stuff going on, but I think that's going to stop. And that the media about it's going to stop. It's going to go back to football. And I think he's going to start winning games. I think they're going to put it together, and I think they're going to come out and win this one. And I'm taking the under 2.
Stay away from both teams. Take the under. I've been having conflicting opinions in my head throughout hearing all of your speeches. I agree with the point that betting against Brady just doesn't resonate with me. I don't know how I could. I really want to, but I just can't yet because he's the GOAT. So I'm just gonna stick away from both of that and just take the under.
Can I just say real quick that I might need to change something up because the last 3 weeks my picks have been the exact same as Sean and Postman, and that's never a good thing.
Thanks, Sam.
Jake, you're on mute.
Sean, I just realized I said Sean, that's okay. Postman, you got to change it up.
Yeah,
there.
I was gonna say me and Sean have wrote a couple locks, a couple controversial picks together, and
Bears against the Patriots.
Yep.
You guys had each
biggest
other's
one.
backs there.
That was a huge W, but the Postman, I got to get away from that.
Although I will say Postman was in last for I think maybe 6 or 7 weeks straight.
Yeah.
And then now he's tied with Coby for 9th. So Coby has slipped a little bit. Sean has just fallen into the abyss. When Sean had a bad week and then he was like, this week I'm just going to fade myself. And then he hit every pick, but he took the opposite of every pick. So he got every pick wrong. At that point, it was he's got to completely change his philosophy, but
he's got to rebuild. He has to
rebuild. Got to make some coaching adjustments. But all right, game 3 on the slate here. Monday Night Football. Ravens -2.5 against the Saints. Total is 48.5.
I think the Ravens are under the most pressure of any team in the league. Their best offensive player contract year, he doesn't have an agent. And now you could argue their best player on defense that they just acquired, he doesn't have an agent either. He's in a contract year. There's only one franchise tag. I think they want to give both of them long-term deals. Are they going to be able to agree to it? Could they both, leave the team at some point? They're under pressure. Now, if you look at the Ravens schedule, all of us are on our computers. You can just type it into Google here. For the rest of the regular season, they don't play a team that's above 500 currently. This is a cakewalk. They're 5-3 right now. They should be no worse than 12-5 at the end of the year because of the schedule. I'm not saying that they're an unbelievable team. I thought they'd be better. They choked away a handful of games. But even though the Saints just come off an impressive win, Alvin Kamara had a great game, the Raiders are a dumpster fire. As we just talked about with the Rams, there's something wrong with that team. I think the Raiders are the same way. I wouldn't give much credit to the Saints there for that win. I think the Ravens, as I just said, they got a lot of pressure on them. They definitely want to prove they can go into a hostile environment that the Superdome is and win on the road. Give me the Ravens -2.5.
I agree with pretty much most of what you said, Jake, and I'm also going with the Ravens -2.5. If I took the Saints and the Ravens ended up covering this game, I don't think I could forgive myself. And regardless of Roquan Smith leaving, a huge Roquan Smith guy forever, and he is a game changer. He's an off the ball linebacker, so not the biggest in every play situation, but he's definitely going to help that defense, especially when Patrick Queen hasn't been what he was last year, what he was hyped up to be. but yeah, I think Rashad Bateman's also out, so offense is going to have a little bit of an issue. But if they can get that run game going, when the Ravens can run the football effectively using Lamar and running backs, they're pretty hard to beat. And I see them doing that this week. Saints are going to game plan against it. Dennis Allen's a good defensive coach, very good defensive coach. But I think the Ravens have too much talent. And like you said, they have a lot on the line and they're under a lot of pressure. Their record doesn't show that they're that good. And they need to show people that they are good because like the Bucs and Rams, they came into the year Super Bowl contenders and they haven't really shown that they're that team. So I think this is a week where they can come out and do that.
The Ravens, their biggest needs were a wide receiver and a corner, and they went out there and traded for a linebacker. So unless Roquan is about to line up at the X or lock down Michael Thomas next week, I'm not sure what they were
Michael
thinking.
Thomas isn't playing. I don't think he
Oh,
is.
okay. Whoever the number one receiver for the Saints is, unless he's lining up out there. I'm not sure why they didn't do more moves. I mean, I'm not saying Roquan was a bad trade. I'm just saying that wasn't their biggest need.
DJ Moore and Brandon Cooks were out there, and they went middle linebacker
Exactly.
for the exact same draft pick compensation, or maybe less actually for Brandon Cooks.
I think the asking price for Moore was too high.
They've been up in 10 points in every single game they've played in, and maybe they think that they're a run-stopping linebacker away from winning those games. So I'm going to take them here because I just think the Saints are confused a little bit. Jameis is fully healthy. They're starting Andy Dalton. Starting Andy Dalton by choice has never been anyone's first choice in the career history of football. I don't understand why they would do that, especially when Jameis didn't look too bad. Kamara had a good week last week, but he just recently stepped onto the scene of being a good player. Michael Thomas is out. Their receiving core has been in and out, healthy, not healthy. Olave's playing great, but that's about been the only consistent player on their offense. So I think the Ravens pretty much have to win this one.
So I was definitely going to take the Ravens here, and I, am feeling worse about it now that everybody else is, but I'm taking the Saints purely because of the disrespect that was just shown to Andy Dalton by Coby. Andy Dalton is a great quarterback. Andy Dalton is ginger. Andy Dalton is the guy who just beat the Raiders by 24 points in a shutout. I lost money because of that last week. I had a 12-leg parlay that every single leg hit except for Raiders money line against the Saints. So because of that, I'm taking Saints here, plus 2.5. I think the Raiders are probably 10 times better football team than the Saints. But I also
But they're
think
not. The Raiders are broken. I think that has more to do with the Raiders being broken.
I think that
than
the Raiders are definitely broken, obviously. But I think that, like, in terms of like guys on the field, guys that you have on your team, the Raiders are a 10 times better football team than the Saints. It just so happens
better.
it just so happens that Andy Dalton found a way. And by the way, since Andy Dalton's been the quarterback, Kamara has done much better. I think that Kamara is great catching short passes, check down passes out of the backfield. And Andy Dalton is utilizing that a lot better than Jameis was. I think the Saints are going to cover plus 2.5, possibly win this game outright. Like Jake said, Ravens' schedule is extremely easy for the rest of the year. The Ravens are going to make the playoffs. If they lose this game, it's not the end of the year. If the Saints lose this game, Saints are going to be in a lot of pick'em games, a lot of spreads where they're the dog. So I think this is a game that they could win, and I think they need to win. So I'm taking Saints here.
I'm taking Ravens minus 2.5. I don't think the Saints are very good with Andy Dalton or with Jameis Winston. It's that simple. I think the Ravens are obviously a better team, and I think they can cover minus 2.5.
All right. So I was informed that I wasn't allowed to take the Ravens, which
You can take them now if you want to, since I took Saints.
Come on, Sean.
no, it's okay. I'm just gonna stick away from both teams again, be that guy, and just go with the over.
we
Both
go.
these teams score a lot of points, so I think we'll see a high scoring game. I don't know what it is, but they'll get over it.
Time for the best part of the show here. We do not have a rivalry game this week.
Thank God.
We don't just want to milk Sam, like whoever the Bears are playing. That's a rivalry.
Yeah,
game.
literally. I've just been getting sewered ever since the Patriots week.
We don't want to milk Sam.
It's
But
Bears versus the world every week. Sam has to fight the world every week.
Literally, and if I have to do another rivalry game with Scott, I might fly out to Ireland and kill his ass. That is painful.
yeah, no, I mean
He
Scott
starts
will-
going after my fantasy record. Literally every possible thing he could name bad about me, he went after in our argument.
I guarantee you that Scott will have like a Cowboys logo on his tombstone. Like he's the biggest fucking Cowboys fan of all time. But we don't want to milk Sam. This week, I will say though, Dolphins versus Bears was a strong rivalry candidate. none of the Dolphins fans on this show showed up. So take that with what you will. Bears might be the play. But it's time for the best part of the show here.
But you
Locks.
still have Bears Cowboys.
Yeah, I didn't update it. Locks of the week here. If anybody would like to go first, be my guest.
This is a win-win for me. And I'm taking the Packers minus 3.5 against the Lions. And it's a win-win because if I win, opposite to my regular record in the slate, my lock record's actually been pretty good. But it's a win-win for me because if my lock hits, my record gets better. And if it doesn't and the Packers lose, I just get to dance on the Packers' grave, which nothing makes me happier than that. So I am taking Packers minus 3.5 against the Lions, which I find is another insane spread that it's this low. I mean, the reasoning of it isn't that bad. The Packers blow and so do the Lions, but the Lions somehow, the Detroit Lions became a worse football team in the past week.
Somehow.
I don't know how that was even possible, but
Yeah.
they traded what Amon-Ra St. Brown was very good for a couple weeks and has kind of been dormant. I know he got hurt or whatever, but Hawkinson was literally their only real weapon. I keep saying this. I don't see the Packers losing this game. And if they do, Green Bay will blow up. And I guarantee that. It will be an absolute disaster. I don't know what they would do after that. I don't know if Rodgers might retire in Ford Field if that happens. But I mean, yeah, I think the Packers come in and take care of business against the Lions.
The Lions give up 32 points a game. That's got to be historically bad to give up 30 points per game. I mean, even if Rodgers' receivers couldn't catch anything that's thrown their way, whether it's the most perfect throw, they could just run it with Aaron Jones. When you play the Lions, you can really do anything. You could run it, you could throw it backwards. You could really do whatever you want. You could crawl on your knees into the end zone. They're probably not going to stop it. So I just feel like Rodgers, this could be. I mean, if there's no way the Packers are just going to lose every game from now on. This is one of the easy wins they should have in a down year. There's no way this isn't one of the games where he steps up and the media is like, is Aaron Rodgers back? Is he the GOAT? Is he this? So I just think this is the game for him to do something after a couple of tough losses. I mean, if they lose to the Lions, then I don't know. Put Jordan Love out there. I don't know. Run the Wildcat with Aaron Jones. It's not Aaron Rodgers' time. You'll see him with on Jeopardy in a full suit and tie asking the questions. So I just think that there's got to be no way the Packers lose this game, even though it's a division game. I mean, this is for Green Bay and Wisconsin's pride right here. If they lose to the Lions, then they got to sell the team. So it's got to be the Packers this week. Speaking
of sell the team, my lock of the week. The Washington Commanders are the hottest team in the NFL right now. I don't know if anybody else has realized that. They're plus 3.5 against Minnesota Vikings. You guys can't see it, but Jake just walked off of the camera. Taylor Heineke has completely transformed this team. Into the year,
he hasn't.
He has because and I can say this from personal. I have Terry McLaurin on my fantasy team. He was a major bust. I said it 2 weeks ago before their game. He was the worst pick of our draft. And then he had 20 something points that week. And then last week he had 18. He has a good chemistry with Taylor Heineke, and I think that because of that, they are a different team. Jahan Dotson also coming back this week, playing well at the beginning of the season. I think that they are a good team. I think that they are going to cover plus 3.5, maybe lose by a field goal. I think that the Vikings are due for a bad performance here. The vibe of the team is good because today Daniel Snyder announced that he is partnering with Bank of America to potentially sell the team. I think that they might be back. I think that the NFC is bad. I think that they have a chance to make the playoffs, and this would be a big game. And if the Vikings lose this game, they're still number one in the NFC North. They're still going to win the division. Everything's still fine. The Commanders can win this game. I think that they might cover 3.5. I think they might win this money line. I like the Commanders here.
Dude, I love Taylor Heineke, but it took Terry McLaurin pulling off a Randy Moss catch and playing against Sam Ehlinger to beat the fucking Indianapolis Colts.
But at the same, I agree with you.
Can't tell me they're bad.
But at the same time, the Colts are in fucking we have to win right now mode, and they lost. I think that if they're in
we have to win, then why are you putting in Sam Ehlinger?
Because they've realized that at this point Matt Ryan is dead, and at that the fact that they bench Matt Ryan,
Nick Foles, a winning quarterback, put him in. I'm saying if you're in need to win mode, you don't throw in a 5th round pick.
I think he was a guy that played well in camp and that they liked, and the decision to go over Nick Foles, like I'm not making that decision. But at the end of the day, like Sam Ehlinger didn't look horrible. He looked just as good as Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is dead. I hate to say it. I thought the Colts were going to be a good team, but so did everybody. Everybody was wrong. The Colts are in win now mode. The Commanders are in not. So I think that the fact that they won that game and they're hot right now, I like them to at least lose by a field goal in this game. So give me the Commanders.
I'm taking the Tennessee Titans at plus 12.5 against the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not saying they're going to win. I'm just saying they're going to cover. A wise man once told me that bad teams still find a way to cover, and that's what the Tennessee Titans are. I took them last week as my lock. I'm sticking with them.
Same philosophy I was going with on my other one. The Jets, kind of what Tony was just talking about. Jets are plus 12.5 against the Bills. I think the Bills are a lot better than the Eagles, so this pick might be a little bit harder to hit, but I think the Jets are very hot and cold, so hopefully they can be hot and cover.
I had to sit here and listen to all this nonsense. Let's address the elephant in the room. Minnesota's good. Guys, come on.
Guys, the best team in the NFL.
Guys, Minnesota's good.
I agree with you.
Minnesota is now. Here's the deal: the next 3 weeks, I think, are very important. Now, they have been my favorite team since birth. I will say this: I don't know if we've proven to be a Super Bowl contender yet. I think we're good, not Super Bowl contender.
Jake, just quick question before you go on: is the Super Bowl a primetime game?
It's not. Well, I consider primetime 8 p.m. So no, it starts at like 6:15, 6:30.
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, the lights are the brightest, but hey, listen.
Kirk Cousins in 1 p.m. games is fucking the MVP of the NFL. Kirk Cousins in sometimes even 4 o'clock games, but 8 o'clock games, the possible worst quarterback in the NFL. So
yeah, the Super Bowl is not first of all, it's on Monday night is when it's the worst, and the Super Bowl is on Sunday afternoon, evening. It's not night, it's evening. It's 6:15 is when it could. Listen, just let me finish. Okay. I just said that we're not a Super Bowl contender yet. The next 3 weeks are important. We play a far inferior team in Washington. Tommy talked about the potential change in ownership. I completely agree with him. That's huge for that franchise. Dan Snyder needs to be removed from his ownership status. But here's the deal. Whoever buys the team isn't going to be on defense covering Justin Jefferson. Minnesota should win this game by double digits. They are a far superior team. Then the next 2 weeks are Bills Cowboys at Buffalo, and they get Dallas at home. In my opinion, those two teams are both legitimate Super Bowl contenders. They've proven to be. Dallas has a legitimate Super Bowl contending defense. Not certain about their offense yet. Anyway, in my opinion, they need to roll Washington, and I think they will. They're my lock, -3.5. And they need to at least split the Bills-Cowboys game. Go at least 1-1. I think they can do that. And then, in my opinion, we will solidify ourselves as a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Guys, Minnesota's good. Just accept it. We have the second best record in the league. Just accept it.
Jake, exactly. Minnesota,
the boys are back.
Good. They are good. They are not.
No one's saying Minnesota isn't good.
And
like they're good.
Well,
They're
Tommy just picked a former XFL quarterback to cover against him. I don't think that means he thinks they're good. It's a little
all I'll say is that, like,
I'm not speaking for Tommy. I'm talking for myself. But
if we're gonna say like, oh, Taylor Heineke's former XFL quarterback, former XFL MVP Philip PJ Walker just beat the best player of all time. So like,
listen, I'm talking about one XFL quarterback.
And Taylor Heineke, former XFL quarterback, also just beat Aaron Rodgers, top 5 quarterback of all time.
Yeah, with the all right.
The Packers are broken. Ellinger is a glorified Tebow. I don't care about either of those victories. Okay. Minnesota is going to roll Washington, and then they have a potential Super Bowl preview against the Buffalo Bills next week. And I will be ready for that one when I'm the only person on Minnesota for that.
No, Jake, like all I have to say is that, like, this is a fun time of year for you. And I don't want to rain on your parade because the Vikings are, at their peak right now. Like they are a good team. Like they are 7-1. Like,
Whenever a girl breaks up with me and I handle it well, everyone's like, how come you're handling it so well? And I'm like, I'm a Vikings fan. I'm used to having my heart broken. Listen, just let me have my moment.
no,
Just
exactly.
let me have it. Come
Exactly.
on.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I understand that this is your Super Bowl, like when you guys are good in the regular season, but like you saying potential Super Bowl preview against the Bills, like there's a fucking 0% chance that the Vikings get past the conference championship game. Like 0%.
I'm glad we record this because I'll come back to that.
If this is a freezing cold take, it's a freezing cold take. But at the end of the day, the Vikings are going to have to play playoff games and they're going to have to play primetime games.
Listen, legitimate question here. Legitimate question. With the new addition of TJ Hawkinson, which I love, especially because Irv Smith.
I love that too, by the way. I love that too.
Because Irv Smith's going to be out 8 to 10 weeks. So we have Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam
I forgot
Thielen.
about that. Yeah, that's
KJ Osborne's our third receiver. He had the game-winning, or not a game-winning touchdown against Arizona, but like he brought us up by 8 points. That was an important play. And Hawkinson. I think Minnesota, the only team that has better skill players than Minnesota is San Francisco because they just got McCaffrey. Like, you have to acknowledge our skill position group is elite. So we don't need Kirk to go out there and play hero ball. We just need him to not screw it up. 24, 35, 280
absolutely.
yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. If we can get that on average for the rest of the season, we're going to be in good shape.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I think that you guys have a great skill position group. You already did. You added TJ Hawkinson as one of the best tight ends in the league. However, my lock this week is simply this week. I'm taking the Commanders. TJ Hawkinson doesn't know the fucking playbook better than I do right now. So him.
No. I don't expect him to have a big impact on this game unless, we do have the taller McVay calling plays. Love Kevin O'Connell. He'll get a little red zone looking for him. But no, I think in the long term, when that Hawkinson trade will prove its value.
We're halfway through the year. Time flies when you're having fun. Like and subscribe.